you're not multitasking. You're doing everything badly. So I had a conversation recently. It was very interesting, and the context is pretty specific, but I think it's applicable to a lot of other things. I was talking about being a creative person, having a personal pursuit and passion, and then balancing that with family. But this is why it's applicable to anything. It's anybody with a personal pursuit and balancing it with anything else. And the advice I got was, you can do both. But when you're doing each individual thing, give it 100% of your attention. When you're creating, create. Be in that headspace alone. Do that with 100% of your focus. Then when you go to your family, be with your family 100%. Don't go to your family and be taking, texts and calls from your managers or your whatever. And then don't be working and then be taking, being attentive to your family at the same time, being distracted and thinking about that. You can do both, but it's important to be 100% focused. And it made me think about our generation right now and our society with social media. It feels like people are always having multiple doors open. Doors of attention, windows of attention. You're doing something, then you go to your phone, you check this, you check that, and you kind of have a lot of different trains of thought going simultaneously, and it's not effective. It's been proven that we are not effective multitaskers. We think we are, but we're just doing everything worse. So the advice, which I think is really astute, is focus, especially if you're an ambitious person, and I don't mean ambitious like necessarily, I'm not equating that necessarily to, financial ambition or career ambition. I'm talking about if you're an ambitious person who wants to be prolific and do a lot of different things, whether that be have a family or a relationship, travel. There's a million different things you could do that fall under the umbrella of ambition. Or maybe it's you want to be super rich, or maybe it's you want to be super successful, you want to change the world. If you're that person who has a lot of things you want to do, a lot of things you want to create in this world, do each of those things with 100% focus as you do it. And I think a big inhibitor of that is social media. So be really cognizant of when you're checking your phone, but it is a tool. I'm on social media right now, I'm doing a live, I feel like this is important. But I'm only doing this, and then I'm not going to keep going and checking Instagram, later in the day as I'm doing something else. That's a personal goal of mine. That's a personal journey that I'm on, because like many people, I feel like I'm very quick to go on social media. It's so available, it's so easy, and you guys, what was that documentary called? I never even watched it, but I know that it became sort of knowledge in the zeitgeist about how addictive and harmful social media was. I forget what it's called. Somebody knows it. You'll know it if you know it. But yeah, we're trained. We are Pavlovian trained to be addicted to social media. They design it in the same way that we release the same brain chemicals as playing slots when we scroll and hope for new notifications. Apparently, the reason why we're so addicted, one of the reasons why we're so addicted to social media, is because of the dopamine response. It's our brain is wired. There's a biological survival reason for this, and it makes a lot of sense before the area of technology, social media, that we seek dopamine, the ratio of most dopamine with the least amount of effort expended. So you get dopamine from eating food. This is brilliant. We would hunt down the food that would require the least amount of effort, that would burn the least calories, and that would provide us the most dopamine. Okay, great. There is virtually zero effort required in swiping, and you do get a dopamine response, and that's how an addiction forms. But then the problem with that also, and I think the reason that it contributes to a lot of depression in our generation, is because we become desensitized to dopamine. It's like anything else. It's like drinking or anything. You develop a tolerance for that substance, and its effect becomes perceived as less and less. So that's why. It's a little tangent there, but it's something that I feel is important because I think that it's unchecked can be a very harmful influence, social media. Checked, it can be very valuable, like I was saying. So now to conclude it all, when you're doing something, do it with 100% of your focus. Do it with 100% of your heart and your soul. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. I've heard that quote. I don't necessarily believe it completely, but I think there's a kernel of truth in that you develop the habit of doing something from your soul, from the base of your being. It's a muscle. Learn how to do that and do it every single day.